Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with a pretty important video, one that I'm sure a lot of you that are brand new to this business are really worrying about and really struggling with. And guys, that is how you can avoid getting duds in your business, and let's face it, you still end up getting a few duds every now and then. So this is also going to address how you can deal with the duds you get in your business. So right here, I have an example of what some duds might look like. However, not all these are duds, just a little spoiler right there. Some of these are actually not too bad, but it's just my little prop because let's face it, sometimes something that turns out to be a dud doesn't look like something that should be a dud right off the bat. Some of these books, guys, they look just as nice as the other ones. So for instance, here's this really cool illuminated Bible. Looks really cool. You'd think it'd be worth a whole lot of money. It's got that beautiful leather, and I love when they have the leather go like all the way over the text block like this. I don't know, it just makes it look so much cooler and older. But sometimes something like this, however cool it could look, could be a dud. This one, guys, it's actually worth like around $40-ish, so it's not actually a dud, but that is something that can end up being a dud for you guys. It can be some of the things that you think look a whole lot cooler, things that are a whole lot cooler. So that is something to keep in mind. With that said though, guys, this particular video idea actually comes from one of my paid members on this channel, so you guys can hit the join section down below. I actually like to reach out to you guys first and be like, hey, what would you guys like to see in the next video? Obviously my members, they have a little bit more sway on what I end up doing since they are paying a little bit more than you guys to be able to do this. So guys, you can subscribe for free, of course, but the joining for the actual member side of things is what you pay for, and it does again give you a little bit of sway. So shout out there to the Wells Mama, who again is the one who gave me the idea for this video, and also shout out to Mike, the used book guy. He was my first channel member here, so big shout out to him. He's actually helped me ideate for a few of these different videos. So with that said and done though, guys, back to this video right now. So again, I have a little stack of books right here. Let's say I'm shopping around. Let's say these are books on a shelf, and let's say I buy all of them. Oh no, half of them turned out to be duds. That can happen pretty often. Honestly, it could be more than half of these books can end up being duds if you're just buying random old books that you think look cool, or random old books that you just look at and you think they look old. Especially if you are brand new to this is something that you can stumble across so many stinking times. And guys, that is why I say 100,000 times in this channel. Actually, I don't think I've hit 100,000 just yet. Maybe I'm 99,000, give or take. But that's why I say every single time, guys, when you're doing this, have your eBay app open. Look these things up before you buy, especially if you're going to be paying a little bit more money. It is, if you guys are doing it like me at least, it is required that you actually look these things up, because otherwise you will end up with duds. However, even if you're looking these things up, sometimes you actually can still end up being stuck with a dud. So let's just say, for example, back to this Bible, you open it on up and you go to the copyright page, and the copyright page says for this one it's 1941, and let's say you go off of 1941, but let's say on the title page it actually says 1956. This one, it doesn't say that, but let's say it does. That actually means that this book was printed after the 1941 that's on the copyright page. Sometimes with older books, they'd actually put the actual print date on the title page, not the copyright page, just because it sort of saved them on the printing side of things. It's a little convoluted, a little complex, but basically you have to look for the most recent date in these books. That'll tell you what it's from. But with that said, let's say the 1941 book is actually a whole lot more valuable than the 1956 printing, which let's theoretically say this one is. If that happens, you actually can end up buying this book thinking you'll make $100 on it, say, but the 56 one, 1956, which is what you actually got, is only worth $20. That is something I can see so often, guys. So you might spend, thinking you're going to make $100, you might spend $20 on it and still think, oh, I'm still going to make some pretty good money. But then it turns out that this book's only worth $20, so you actually end up losing money because you have to pay the eBay fees, you have to pay shipping, all these sorts of things. It's no fun. It can really hurt your business. So, of course, there are mistakes that can be made. However, there's not a whole lot of stuff you can do to deal with that. I mean, you will take the loss on that book. Of course, you can try to like sell it at like a local garage sale or something like that and hope you can recoup your $20. But end of the day, that's not really going to be worth it. You're going to put in a whole lot more effort. You're going to end up losing no matter what if you overspend on a book, which leads me to how to deal with sort of the duds that you get in this business. And guys, I get called a cheapskate for this. I admit that I'm a cheapskate first off, but I'm not just a cheapskate. So guys, on these books, I will always try to spend as little as I can on them. If I can spend 12 cents on a book, I will spend 12 cents on a book. Not just because I'm cheap, which I am, but also it's just, I call it booty coverage. I am covering my butt to make sure that I'm not going to lose a whole lot of money on these books. So let's say, remember I said like half these books are duds, let's say. Well, if I spent $10 each and half of them are duds, I might not make my money back. However, if I spent 10 cents each, I'm basically guaranteed to make my money back. So guys, remember I said that this book is actually, this Bible up here, is actually worth $40. So let's say I paid 10 cents each. Let's say all of them are duds except for this one. It still pays for my trip. I'm still making a profit. And honestly, even at 10 cents each with these books, I could still list each individual one on eBay and actually still make a profit. Of course, if I'm paying for my own hours or my employees' hours, I probably will end up losing money on some of these if they are truly duds that are only worth $3. It's not worth my employees' time to list them or my own time to list them. So that is something to keep in mind. So I would then take those books that are absolute duds and are only worth a few dollars. I would lump them all together and then sell them as a lot of just older vintage books. That is something you could totally do. That is something that I've done in the past. It's a little hard to get traffic for those sorts of things, but it is something you can definitely do to get rid of your bum inventory or your dud inventory. In addition to that, some people like destroying books and being absolute psycho murderers and actually ripping these books apart because of artistic value to them. They say, oh, these illustrations are really cool. Oh, I like the text block. Some people actually encase some books in resin because they are absolutely evil and hate books or something. I don't know. But there's a lot of things you guys can do with these books. Of course, worst case scenario, you could like send it off to be recycled and turned into another book, which breaks my heart to think of a book getting thrown away. I have bum inventory that I just have sitting there from when I started. I have bum inventory. That's not a whole lot of stuff. Sometimes, most of the time actually, it's just death pile that I have yet to list because it's not quite entertaining enough for me, but that is something you guys can definitely keep in mind and keep a lookout for in your particular business. So again, guys, for me, these books here, they're not really duds at all. I think each one is like at least $20 worth of value. Might even be as high as like $60. I don't remember off the top of my head, but these are just some books that I don't have listed. I might have the Illuminated Bible listed. I don't remember for sure, but the other ones I don't think I have listed. But it is something definitely you guys need to keep in mind when you're doing this business, is you will end up with bum inventory even if you look these things up. However, again, if you guys are not looking these books up before you buy them, you'll end up with even more bum inventory, which leads me back to what I said earlier about when you're shopping for these things, try to, and if you're doing it like me, try to get as low of a price as you can for them. Because for me, I even go to some of these estate sales, friends of the library sales, that sort of stuff, and I don't have cell reception all the time. For me, I tell people I call it the Wild West. It's only Oregon, but honestly, guys, some of the places I go, I have zero cell phone data, and it's sort of funny. And it's not just because we're in the Wild West and there's no cell phone towers. It's because we have like some insane mountains sometimes too, and once you get a few miles out of town, you don't have it anyways. I mean, I know a lot of you guys on the East Coast have like a cell phone tower every 5 miles away or something like that. It's insane. But like around here, we don't build them for no reason. And yes, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but you know. But with that said though, guys, there are times that I don't have cell reception. And because of that, I am a whole lot more selective on what I'm grabbing. I know for a fact that I will be missing a whole lot of books that are very valuable because I'm not able to look them up. I also know for a fact that I'm going to be grabbing a whole lot of bum inventory because I'm not able to look these things up. So when you guys come across a scenario like that where you don't have reception, you can't actually look these things up, yeah, it sort of stinks. You will get more bum inventory. You will miss out on some of the big scores. So you really have to be selective. And for me, again, I cover my butt by paying as low of a price as I can for these books. With that said, though, for you guys, if you are brand new to this business, if you've never bought an old book before, honestly, I would recommend sort of shying away from estate sales and friends of the library sales that you know for a fact you will not have cell service at or something like that, because you will end up with bum inventory. And if you're brand spanking new to this entire business, a couple losses, I mean, that really weighs down on you. It might make you think that this business is a whole scam. You might think that Caleb here is an absolute liar and is just making this stuff up. So I would actually recommend not going to those things if you know for a fact you can't look these things up, because again, I basically require you guys, if you want to do it right and if you want to be able to actually yell at me with reason, I require you look these things up and actually confirm you'll be able to make a profit. For those of you that aren't going to do it and are going to call me a liar anyways because you didn't look at anything and you ended up with only bum inventory because you were the idiot, but you're going to call me the idiot, c'est la vie, I can't help you, you're on your own. But for those of you guys that really do want to do this as well as you can, again, look these things up. I cannot say this enough times, guys. There are so many people that do not look these things up or potentially only go to one place. I actually have a couple other videos where I sort of rant on this sort of things, and I give you advice, all these sorts of things. But again, guys, there's a lot of things that you have to deal with in this business, and getting duds is not necessarily one of the things that you have to deal with. It's not one of the things that you're going to deal with all the time if you're doing this business the right way. If you guys are looking these things up, you'll see, oh, I'm going to make 10 bucks on this, 20 bucks on this, that sort of thing. If you guys aren't able to find comps on a book, and by comps I mean you look up this specific book and you can't find any data about it on eBay or let's say AbeBooks or anything like that, if you can't find any comps on a book like that, potentially don't buy it if you're scared of getting a bum inventory piece. Or if you're like me, just pay a couple cents for it, or $1 for it, or $2 for it, and just know that worst case scenario, you'll get your money back. Best case scenario, you'll make $1 million. Of course, I haven't made $1 million on any individual book just yet, but you never know. I haven't been in business that long. In fact, I don't even know if there's any books worth $1 million, but we'll see. Eventually, I'll find one, right? But with that said and done, though, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you guys a whole lot of ideas for how to deal with bum inventory and duds, but at the end of the day, again, I don't really end up with a whole lot of duds in my business because I look these things up. I wish I knew a guy that said you need to look these up. Oh, wait, I did. I'm the guy. I told you, look these things up. Guys, if you do this like me, you're not going to come across a whole lot of bum inventory if you're looking these things up. I keep on stressing that because that is such an important part of this business. You do not want to fly blind when you have the option to actually know exactly what something's worth. Let me just throw back really quick, guys. People talk about the great Beanie Baby bubble of the 90s. If you guys were alive back then, I'm sorry. You guys really suffered through the Beanie Baby bubble. That was the weirdest thing ever, but people lost a whole lot of money on it. I think it's sort of sad that people really speculated on children's toys like that, but hey, you never know. Whatever. Not judging. Whatever. But with that said, though, guys, that entire Beanie Baby bubble, I actually was listening to a guy a while back, and he was saying that that entire thing was destroyed. Basically, the bubble popped because eBay came out and people were actually able to look up the price of these Beanie Babies. It wasn't just like, oh, here's one I haven't seen before, it must be worth $100,000. They were able to look up and see, oh, it's only worth $10. I'm not going to pay $100 for this if it's only worth $10. That's the thing with this business, guys. You are now empowered, thanks to the internet, you're empowered to actually look up what the value is before you buy. That means you are basically guaranteed to make money. Of course, I'm saying basically guaranteed because there's always going to be some sort of issue that comes up, but by and large, you're going to always make money. And worst case scenario, you end up with something you're asking a little bit more than it's actually worth. You just sit on it and have it in your eBay store for a little bit longer. And if you guys store your own books like I have here, whoop-de-stink-a-doo, it's taking up one shelf space, two shelf spaces. Obviously, you don't want to get too much bum inventory, then it'll fill a couple shelves, but it is something that you guys can definitely deal with. It's not going to ruin your entire business to get a couple things that just sit a little bit longer. I mean, I've said in my previous videos on this channel, my average time for these things to sell is usually about like a year and a half. That's what a lot of the things sort of sell at. Was that the average? Maybe that's the average for the long end. Sounds a little bit long for the actual average. I don't know. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. But with that said and done, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I know I did go a little bit all over the board. I just want to leave you with one final message. Well, guys, comment down below if you think you know this message. I'll give you a second. The message is look your stupid books up before you buy them. Yep, I know, I'm saying it one more time. Look these books up before you buy them. It is the best way to guarantee, or nearly guarantee, that you're not going to end up with duds. Of course, I know a lot of us still end up with duds, so again, you guys can sell them as lots of books, or you could just sit on them forever, your choice. But honestly, it's just something that you just sort of roll with in this business. And again, to avoid really losing out on your business and suffering a whole lot of undue woe, just make sure you're paying a whole lot less for these books as well. It's not that hard to negotiate and be like, hey, this book I don't think is worth $50, even though you're asking $50, I think it's worth $10. Odds are, if no one else has looked for that book, or you're showing up at the end of the sale, odds are people are going to negotiate with you. In worst case scenario, they say no. Okay, you avoided getting a book that wasn't worth that much in the very beginning. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, you might want to have that book. You might want to sell that book, but end of the day, you don't want to get stuff just because it looks cool. You want to get stuff because you're trying to resell it if you're doing this entire business as a actual business and not just a strange hobby where you want to lose money. But with that said and done though, guys, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please just be sure to drop a like. Be sure to check out one of my other videos there. In fact, the top one is the one I mentioned earlier, and I'll see you guys in the next one.